I wanted to use the construction steps for a golf course as my template for turfgrass establishment. Building new golf courses in the United States has been on a downward path since 2005. Most new golf course building has occurred for the most part in Southeast Asia. However, golf course restoration and renovation has increased dramatically during this time. Many of the principles that are discussed are applicable to restoration and renovation. Prior to the actual physical construction and establishment of a golf course, there are several non-agronomic or business decisions that need to be made. The first is the financial feasibility of the project, consisting of analyzing and determining the potential for success and developing a marketing strategy. Here is an example where the success of a golf course in Montana was not correctly projected. I guess one major drawback is people may not want to play golf or build a home on a Superfund site, no matter how nice it is. Related to the financial feasibility is the property itself. Key factors to consider is there an adequate source of water present for irrigation? And are there environmental concerns like habitat or specimen issues that could slow the project? Generally, too, you need a property that has at least 175 acres for the golf course. This is Doonbeg Golf Course in Ireland. While building or attempting to build the course, several environmental hurdles had to be overcome. The original proposal for the golf course was for the use of a piece of property that was found out later to be the habitat for a snail species that was unique to the site and considered endangered. Over the years, different developers came, as did construction start dates, until it was finally constructed around the protected snail area. This is not the snail. I just put this common snail in the picture to remind me of the story. The actual snail was microscopic, so monitoring where it was in the habitat was an issue in itself. An important key is to avoid environmentally sensitive areas. Associated with financial and environmental concerns is a site audit. Site audits determine if there are specific issues that need to be considered when building the golf course. I've listed a few here. For example, an audit may help determine engineering or routing concerns and costs. I would assume that if the next hole is over a mile away, this is not going to be a walking golf course. I'm speculating some engineering issues arose during construction to route this hole so far away. This is Culzean Castle in Ireland. The castle was originally built in 1181. It was burnt in 1981 by the Irish Republic Army, or IRA. The story told to me was the arsonists who burned the castle burnt the wrong one. They were supposed to burn a castle further up the road. The castle was restored and a golf course built in the 2000s. The land that the course was built on was found during construction to be an old copper civilization era settlement. The course went through multiple changes dictated to some extent by the archaeologists who came to the site. Of interest too, there's a holy well on site. After financial and environmental analysis, designing the golf course, site audit, and getting the necessary permits, we can move now to the actual construction. Shown here is the general progression of steps leading up to the establishment of the turf. Initially, surveying and staking takes place to identify key features that will be on the golf course. Listed here are some examples of what is surveyed and staked. Center lines denote the route of the golf hole. The center line is marked by poles like this one, which are positioned down the center of the fairway. This is the center line of one of the fairways at Medallion Golf Club in Westerville, Ohio, during its construction. Erosion control and environmental protection buffers are one of the first things put in place during construction. Heavy construction continues during this time. Clearing sites can be an arduous process in some instances. When you think globally that golf courses have been built from deserts to jungles and up and down mountains. When clearing a site, you may wonder if they knock down trees, what do they do with them? One example is that they burn the cut down trees and bury the ashes on site, in this case in the fairway. Here is a close-up of the burning process. I took these photographs at Double Eagle Golf Club in Delaware while it was under construction. Rough grading is when the golf course begins to take shape. You can see where the course is going and get a rough look at the design of the holes. During this time, features to handle water retention and discharge are incorporated. Final grading is done to add the features to the golf course and prepare for seeding. In the following photographs, I want to show a series of golf course construction projects across Europe and the Middle East during the middle to late 2000s. The golf course that I'm starting with is Winston Golf in Germany. The site for the golf course is an area that was considered East Germany prior to the fall of the Berlin Wall, now over 30 years ago. The course is carved out of a gently rolling Baltic landscape that is characterized by forests, rivers, and lakes. The Dutch owners, Winston and Van Japan, took on a monumental effort to build a links golf course on this land. Although this course, once finished, is extremely visually striking, I would consider it an over-the-top type of design and construction effort. These sand dunes are all man-made. The sand was brought in from off-site and shaped. The Ponds own numerous businesses through Europe. It helped that one of the businesses they owned is a Caterpillar machinery company. Final grading is done to shape the features and prepare for seeding. Here, some of the tees have just recently been seeded. Here, a finished hole has been seeded. The light green in the previous slide and in this slide are turf seedlings. A couple of things I found interesting while at Winston Golf. Besides the Winston Golf course, there is another 27 holes and clubhouse. While there, I noticed starting, first thing in the morning, school buses would arrive hour after hour with school children starting in grade school and working up through high school. Golf is part of the school's physical education program in that area. In this photograph, one of the golf professionals is giving lessons to these young school children. You may notice too the circular patches on the green. This is microdocium patch. No synthetic pesticides are allowed on German golf courses. Here are some high school students playing later in the day. This area of Germany is not as prosperous as other parts. So to help bring golf to these students, the ponds and the golf course picks up all the costs associated with the students having their class on the golf course. When I asked about this relationship, the reply was, why have a golf course if no one knows how to play? The second thing of interest was this. At the time, a brand new Audi, I believe A6. If you notice on the front bumper an attachment which was used to hook up a device to pick up golf balls on the driving range. In contrast, this was the type of vehicle used to pick up golf balls on the driving range at most of the other golf courses in Germany. I thought this was pretty cool and asked if they used this car for anything else besides picking up driving range balls. They replied, road rallies. These next few pictures are from a golf course designed by Jack Nicklaus outside of Moscow, Russia. Russia is one of the places I have not been to. So obviously these pictures are not mine, but were sent to me by Joe Beatty, who was overseeing the project. What I wanted to mention from these pictures is a practice called sand capping. Sand capping is applying sand to a depth of 4 to 8 inches over the fairway's green complex, in some cases the rough. So basically a blanket of sand is laid down for the purpose of providing a better drainage and firmness to the golf course prior to seeding. It is an expensive process, but one that is quite popular. Notice in this picture some of the piles of sand in the background. That will be spread to cap the fairways and around the green. Sand capping has occurred around the green complex and down the fairway on this golf hole. This picture shows drainage being installed. Drainage is an important aspect on golf courses, but it also seems to be one of the things, unfortunately, builders will cut out to save money on. This is the golf course upon completion. The clubhouse is in the background with the 18th green in front. One of the final steps in golf course construction that was previously mentioned is spreading the topsoil back onto the golf course prior to establishment. This step is not as important if you are sand capping, but given the cost of sand capping, respreading the topsoil is the most common practice. Here in Portugal, this course stockpiled its topsoil, shown in the background. This is a wider shot of one of the topsoil stockpiles. In this case, the topsoil is being sieved to remove any rocks or undesirable material. The topsoil will then be reapplied over the graded fairways, for example, and a final grade done. Our last construction site is a golf course in Dubai. I like this photograph that I took, kind of old and new, with a camel in the background and a bulldozer in the foreground. The course being constructed is known as Jumeirah. Adapting to desert conditions, lining is used for the proposed ponds and lakes to retain water. Prior to seeding, sodding of certain areas that are difficult to establish, like around bunkers, mounds, or greens complexes, is often done. Sodding is considerably more expensive than seeding or sprigging, and again is usually targeted to difficult establishment areas. Just a closer look of sodding around the bunkers. Notice the putting green in the background. It is covered with a plastic tarp. The purpose of the tarp is to keep desert sand, which is not used in the putting green root zone mix, from blowing in and contaminating the green mix before seeding, or in this case sprigging, is done. You would think this would be a small thing, but if you had hundreds of sprinkler heads in desert sand, problems can occur. The sprinkler heads are set well above the soil level. This is to prevent the nozzles from becoming clogged with sand. After establishment, the sprinkler heads will be lowered. I took this picture a few years ago after establishment. We are now at a point of turf establishment. The major establishment methods are listed here and will be described in future presentations. In the case of Jumeirah, sod fields were established of certified hybrid Bermuda grass varieties Tiff Eagle and Tiff Way, which in this photograph are separated by the fence. These fields were used to create the sprigs that established the course.